Hi, EDA students. I hope you've had a good week. The weather's been nice. This week, we're going to talk about comparing batches. Here's a quick stand story. Let's suppose you are walking in a new area and you're behind some friends, and you learn that there's some quicksand ahead, but your friends don't see it. So you'd like to warn them, but they don't seem to hear you, so you're afraid that they're going to fall in the quicksand. Well, that's a little dramatic, but anyway, but the point is that there's some issues in this future homework, and there are a few previous EDA classes have lost points on this assignment, so I'm trying to warn you ahead of time. Okay, I have a second story, and this is from one of my previous blogs. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Okay. One day, a boy was interested in taking a course in EDA, but he didn't have the money to pay for it, so his grandmother was nice enough to give him money for the course, and she said, well, I hope it's a worthwhile course for you. Anyway, so then later on, the boy visited his grandmother, and she asked, how's the course going? And this is what he said. He said, last week, we learned about how to compare groups of data. We compared the yearly snowfall of two cities. It was hard to compare the two groups since there was a dependence between level and spread. And then I constructed a spread versus level plot. I learned that I needed to take a 0.5 power transformation. And when I did it, there was no longer a dependence between spread and level. And so the grandmother said, okay, what did you learn about snowfall from your analysis? And he said proudly, there is more snow in Buffalo than Cairo. And the grandmother sighs and says, well, can we get our money back? Okay, so she was not impressed with his work in this assignment. So anyway, the point is that it's easy to focus on the manipulation and the calculation, and it's easy to miss the big issue, why we're doing this thing in the first place. Why are we doing all this work? So I thought what I would do is give you an example of a simple comparison, which is this is our objective in this in comparing batches. So what we want to do is we're comparing two batches of numeric data, and we want to say that one group tends to be a certain number or a certain number higher and lower than another group. And we can make that comparison when the groups have similar spreads. And so if that's not the case, if we don't have similar spreads, then maybe we need to re-express the data to get similar spreads. So here's my example of simple comparison. I have two baseball players. I believe Carlos Santana hits the ball harder than Scott Kingery. And that's not too surprising to say, but what I would like to figure out is how much harder does Santana hit the ball than Kingery. So I collect the data this season for every single batted ball they hit, and I get this box plot display. And we can see from this box plot that Santana indeed does hit the ball harder than Kingery on average, but we want to make a more careful comparison. Now, the nice thing that we see from this box plot is that both the batches appear to have similar spreads. And we can document that by computing some statistics. And you see here that I've computed the quartile spread, or DF we call it in the course. And it turns out that this quartile spread is 20 for Santana and is 19.6 for Kingery. Great. So these two batches have similar spreads. And because of that, I can say that now we can just compare medians. And I can say that Santana hits the ball on average about 3.8 miles per hour harder than Kingery. Okay, and so what that means is that if I take Kingery's launch speeds, take those batches, and if I add 3.8 to every single value, then I'll approximate the launch speeds for Santana. And that's exactly what I do in this graph, is I've just adjusted the Kingery launch speeds by adding 3.8 miles per hour, and they seem to match it pretty well. This is the type of comparison that we want to make in this course.